Hey y'all, I'm Shauna. Welcome into the channel and welcome back to another day of Vlogmas. Today we are talking about 13 things that I will not be buying. I refuse to buy them. Now, I've made videos like this in the past where I've talked about things that I won't buy in a particular year or like things that I've stopped buying. This is kind of like a mixture of both. I'm going to be talking about 13 things that I have been genuinely tempted to buy in the last few months, and it makes no sense, and I will not be buying them. In a large part to like save money and also just to spend my money where it matters, things that feel like good choices, and also just like saving time and space too. As we go through the item, I'll let you know kind of maybe like what prompted this being on the list, but the focus is largely going to be on why I don't need it, why I'm not going to buy it, and hopefully if you've been tempted to buy any of these items, then I can talk you out of buying them as well. Before we get into it, I do want to take a second to talk about the channel membership. I've spoken about them in past videos, and I do have a membership that you can subscribe to on YouTube, and all the members get access to Vlogmas videos early, and it's also a way to support the channel. So thank you so much to my current members. At the end of this video, there's going to be a nice little end credit because the members like really help this channel do the things that we do. And I'm really appreciative of all the members. I just wanted to throw that out there before we got into it. Let's now get into the list. Number 1 is hair oil. And you would think that my experience panning hair oil in the last handful of years would be enough to deter me. But recently I've been tempted by hair oil again, maybe because I haven't used it in a few months. So like that experience has dissipated a little bit. And I saw myself like drawn to these hair oils on Sephora, like Sephora brand hair oils that are like $40, $50 plus dollars. Sure, I can be tempted, but that doesn't mean it's a smart choice. My hair I have oily hair, which is, I feel like, fairly common for people who have like straight/fine hair. For my hair type, hair oil doesn't make a lot of sense. And even if I wanted to buy hair oil, or I said that I could, buying it when my hair is short also makes like even less sense because there's a shorter distance between the ends of my hair where I would apply it and my scalp where my hair gets oily. So there's like a really good chance that the oil would end up on my scalp. And that's just not a situation that we want. And all the hair oil I'm interested in, as I was just saying, is expensive. Even if I want the product today, just how I would go about using it and the enjoyment of the product just honestly feels a bit like it would be money wasted and not money well spent, even if I enjoyed the act of buying that thing in the moment. So we're going to pass. We're not going to do it at any time in 2024. Number 2 are face palettes. And I've done a really good job at avoiding face palettes, kind of generally speaking, but there was one that really tempted me from Tarte. And it was a blush, a highlighter, and a bronzer. I came this close to buying it. I really did. I mean, the fact that I didn't just kind of speaks to the habits that I've developed. They did their magic and I didn't buy the thing. Great. The fact that I wanted it and came so close to buying it was just a bit of like what are you doing? Like, are we just in like a shoppy December? Like we just want to buy some stuff and you see some things that are relatively cute? Or am I just like tempted by face palettes again? I'm not totally sure. Face palettes in any iteration just don't make sense for how I use makeup. Not only do I just like not need any more blushes or any more highlighters, I mean, that alone is enough to say don't do it. But then having all of these things combined in a palette makes me use or would make me use that thing less. I also panned the Hourglass palette, or like almost panned it, which was a freaking nightmare. I never want to pan another face palette again. And I think in my mind, I was like, ah, yes, but this is cream, so it would be easier. Dude, panning any blush, no matter if it's cream, is an highlighter. I have also like made the choice that I'm not buying highlighter and I'm phasing out everything that I own until like it's a category that I don't own anything more. With that, it makes sense. I'm phasing out highlighter and I'm not buying any more. And the goal is to eventually have 0 highlighters. It makes no sense to buy any palette where there would be a highlighter. Truly, any face palette having a highlighter is enough reason to not buy it. And also any blush, any palette having blush in it is also enough reason to not buy it. I have more blush than I can finish or that I can use in like the next 5 years. So we really don't need to be bringing in more blush into my life. I'm going to talk about number 3 and 4 together, and that's makeup brushes and dual-ended brushes. So earlier this year, I was tempted to replace my makeup brushes. You know, like upgrade, if you will. And I never did for like a really practical reason. All of my makeup brushes are perfectly fine. I think I was just watching some videos where people were talking about some brush sets that they got or some higher end brush sets and how great they are and that like they've upgraded and they're really happy with their purchase. Good for them. Truly so happy that that purchase worked out for you. You love your new brushes. If you have something that's perfectly good, perfectly usable, like there's truly nothing wrong with it, you're ending its life early. You can't give people used makeup brushes. So they would just end up in the garbage and they're nowhere near the end of their life. So maybe one day in the future we can upgrade the makeup brushes, but today is not that day. Dual-ended brushes as well. I was actually talking with a friend about these recently and she loves dual-ended brushes. And I'm like, yeah, that's super practical and like you can own fewer things and that kind of, in a way, seems like something I would like. I own some dual-ended brushes. They're mostly eyeshadow brushes. And I hate them because one side will stick out, like if it's in a cup or something, and the other side is hidden. And I always forget that there's like another side of the brush. So one side gets used more and the other side gets neglected. And it's almost like, what's the point? What's the point of having a dual-ended makeup brush if you don't actually use both sides? They're also not super practical because I like one side more than the other anyways. So I only want the brush for one side. So again, what's the point of having 2 sides? To me, dual-ended brushes are the equivalent of like a makeup kit or like, you know, those Sephora kits. Unless you like the whole thing, to me, there's not sense in buying it. Unless I like both sides of the brush, doesn't make sense to buy it. All right, next up are flip-flops, but also kind of adjacently sandals. I bought a pair of sandals in 2021, 22. I can't remember now if it was 21 or 22. I don't really wear sandals, rarely, basically to the beach. And I have a pair for that. Anything else is kind of like a fantasy self-purchase. I've seen a few over the last year. I'm like, wow, they're so pretty. And I feel like I've come close many times over the past 2 years buying additional sandals, particularly like heeled sandals. They're super cute, like super beautiful, and they look really nice, but I just don't wear them. And I think shoes have always been like a kryptonite for me. I'm very much a shoe person. I love shoes. I freaking love shoes. So when I see something beautiful that I know that I would love, it's hard to say no to shoes. And so would I love these shoes? Yes. Would they be pretty to look at? Yes. But would I wear them? No, not where I am in my life right now. Like right now in the summertime, I'm like working most of the time. And when I go out, it's usually in the evening and I'm usually not going to wear sandals. I'm going to wear like running shoes or, you know, flat shoes, typically not sandals. It just doesn't make sense. And when I go out for like a nicer dinner, I do have other options to wear. I'm not like out of options. I have really nice pairs. It kind of pains me, but it's like if you actually want to save money this year, or if you're looking to save money and also like be practical and only own things that you use, buying these don't really make sense. I think adjacent would be heels. I have gotten into my like fantasy self over the past like 2 years, and I've come like this close to buying more heels, and not like, let's say, boots with heels, but like the heels you wear with the cocktail dress heels. I go to so few formal occasions, it just doesn't make sense to buy more of any kind. My heel collection doesn't really make sense. And in a perfect world, or like a world where I had substantially more money, I would make it so I had like a black pair and a nude pair of like closed toe and open toe heels. And I have just a nude pair of each. I would need like a black pair of each. That makes total sense to me. So I could own those things for a long time, because I've owned my nude heels of both for like 5 years. I bought my nude pair when I was defending an MA thing, and that was in like 2018. And they're still in style. They're still perfectly fine. And I've owned my nude heels from around the same time, like 2017, 2018. They're still in style, still cute, still love them. I need a black version of those, but like this is just not that year. And the reason why I'm saying this is because in some ways they're just like kind of like basics that you can, own for like 5 or 10 years. You buy them once and like you never really have to worry, and they go with everything. When I'm like kind of going to formal events, I'm always like, like what's the situ? Like what do I do? What do I wear? But I don't go to enough for that to like genuinely be a concern. Does that make sense? All right. Number 7, I initially put like writing / journaling supplies, but I extended it before the video to like any hobby supplies without a track record. And this is like such a wide swath of stuff. Like it could be journaling supplies, which would include like pens and papers and notebooks, but also like art supplies, including watercolors and pencils and coloring books, or like paints, or like scrap supplies, anything like that. But it also would include, one of the things that I also came close to buying recently was like TikTok Premium. There's like some features of TikTok that you can only get if you buy premium, and it's like $35 a month. It's not that expensive. And TikTok, by the way, is like a kind of like a calendar planning software. It's very similar to Plan. And TikTok doesn't really make sense unless you have premium. And Plan is very similar. So it's not like a hobby in the same way like writing or journaling would be, but like I know that I get into certain parts of the year where I get super into planning, and then it like will fall off, or I'll lean into planning more when I get super busy. I know that I'm at a point of year where I'm really busy, so I'm leaning into planning, whatever. With all of this stuff, I don't really see a place to buy it unless I have a track record of using that thing. Like I could, let's say, buy TikTok if I was using Plan regularly for more than a month, because I know right now, like in December, I'm, as I was saying, really busy, really leaning into it. So I'll probably use it for a month, but then like what happens in January when I'm not as busy? Will I use it then? Unless I can have a proven track record for anything, like of any of the hobby stuff that I'm talking about, I can't buy the thing. Doesn't matter what the hobby is. This is long-standing advice that I've given, and I need to heed my advice during the time when it's really applicable. So this is me heeding my advice. All right, I'm going to talk about another 2 together. Number 8 is journals, and I put as number 13, but we'll call it number 9 as planners. To me, these are kind of different things. You have the planners that like help you plan your day, which like also could be digital like TikTok, but also could be paper planners. And then you have journals. And in my mind, I'm really envisioning like those interactive journals. One of them is like it's by Lavender. She has, I think it's called like The Artist of Life. journal. And I've wanted to buy it for the past 2 years. And this is the time of year where you would buy one of these things. And it's not a planner and it's not quite a journal. It's like an interactive workbook. There's also one by this other company. I honestly cannot remember their name for the life of me. They're like a small US based company and I couldn't get them to Canada anyways, even if I want to without like an arm and a leg shipping. This time of year, I am a sucker. I'm a sucker for planners, interactive workbooks, journals, but I know this about myself. I know it. Mistake. Buying any of these would be a mistake because 2 or 3 months from now, I will not be using them. And I think sometimes I do like to indulge myself a little bit. Like, I know when I do my 2024 vision board, goal setting, I go way harder and plan way more than I actually need to in reality. And I'm okay indulging myself with that because one, it's just it's not really a problem, in my opinion, to use what you have to dream about your future. That seems like a really great use of time. I'm not mad about it. I'm totally fine daydreaming about that kind of thing or planning and goal setting. I don't see a problem with that. Where it becomes a problem is when you buy stuff that you're supposed to be using for a long period of time that you don't follow through with and that you won't. So I feel like I've kind of found my balance of indulging myself a little bit without spending money to do the indulging. So I just feel like I need my yearly reminder to not buy any journals and planners. Okay, a small one. Mouthwash. I used to be a mouthwash person. It was kind of you're running out the door and you want a little extra freshen. What was that? You want your mouth to be a little extra fresh. 2 things. 1, gum exists. 2, water exists. And I feel like a lot of the time when we feel like our breath isn't cute is because we haven't drank enough water. Maybe we've been drinking 12 coffees and we need to keep hydrated. And mouthwash just kind of feels like a crutch. And also mouthwash also feels I don't know, there's just something unsettling about it. And I have used it in the past as a crutch. And mouthwash is weirdly expensive in my opinion. Stuff you put in your mouth to spit out, why are you $8? So we don't need it. I know it's not an expense that's gonna make or break a budget, but we don't need her. We have toothpaste, we have water, we're good. All right. Number 9 is high-end skincare or Sephora brand skincare. This is one that not everyone is going to agree with me on. I really don't feel like a lot of the high-end skincare is worth it. Are there exceptions? Absolutely. But I feel like I have found products that are great. CeraVe, in my opinion, is a really great drugstore brand that offers a lot of their products without fragrance. They're affordable, they're great, they work. There are exceptions even for me. I have one product that's $50. Everything else is drugstore or I have a prescription for something, and so it works. When I go above the my usual price range, it's usually because I am in a trying to try moment and not actually thinking about reality. So I feel like it's more of a reflection of being spendy than something about my skincare routine not working. I was just talking about water, so I feel like I needed to just take a sip. And I've also tried some really great products from Paula's Choice. Their sunscreen is also really nice, and their nighttime moisturizer is super nice. And it's not as though those products are shit. There is just products that I feel work really well, and I've just found I found my routine. And deviating from it, as I've mentioned, is not a reflection of my skincare routine being poor or not working anymore. If that was the case, then I should try new products. It's just more of a reflection of other circumstances. The next thing is very similar, which are products that create like a multi-step skincare routine. As I've just said, I found stuff that works. In the morning, I am like a face wash and like sunscreen moisturizer kind of thing, and I leave. Like that's my capacity for the morning. Nighttime, I switch between a couple of things. Usually like retinol and then I get other serum, not one after the other, kind of oscillating between the two. Sometimes I'll do nothing. I'll just wear moisturizer, maybe a little face oil, give my skin a bit of a break. And that's kind of it. Every so often, I'll use the BHA, maybe like one time every other week. Otherwise, I feel like it's just too much right now. And that's kind of it. Anything else that goes on top of that, like people will say like, oh, use vitamin C or use this or use that. Great. I'm sure those products are wonderful for you. And they probably work. But when I put more products than what I'm currently using, basically anything more than one product between my cleanser and my moisturizer, the skincare routine falls apart and I buy products that I do not finish. I still have some from like free samples and stuff that I've had from the past, and like one skincare product from like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago now, that just never got used because of that exact thing. And so anything that creates basically a multi-step routine is a product that won't work. And I've kind of gone back and forth with this many times over this year. There have been some products that I've been super tempted to buy. Like I've come this close to buying one product in particular. It's like a recipe for disaster, or no, that's a bit of an exaggeration. It's more like a recipe for wasting money. Last thing, this is kind of like a weird one because it's like coffee / tea accessories. Okay, here's an example. I bought this. This is the Bloom Blue Lavender Superfood Latte Mix. I wanted this for like 2 years. I got a gift card to a place this sold and it was on sale and I bought it. This was nasty. This was gross. I wanted to love it so much. I didn't. And this is best before April 2024. So I have like 4 months to drink this thing that is like kind of gross. I don't know what to do about it. I also have spent, I feel like, a weird amount of money on like making my coffee tastier. Like I had this whole lavender coffee creamer situation back in the spring, and then I had an entire like pumpkin spice coffee debacle in the fall. Did not go well. I mean, I had fun doing it, but it's like I just feel like I've just spent a weird amount of money on coffee and tea stuff that just like doesn't need to be spent. Yes, I did think that I would like this superfood latte mix, but I didn't. I have not liked matcha when I've tried it either. And I just don't need to be spending all this money on stuff to like make my coffee taste better. I also like, what am I doing deviating from coffee? I don't like tea as much. Tea is nice. Tea is a place, but like not $20 worth or whatever that was. And I also like black coffee. So like we don't need all of the other stuff. And also this one is like, if I didn't buy all of this stuff, how much money would I have saved? I don't know, probably like $50 or $60. Again, not something in the grand scheme of like a year. Is that going to break the budget? But this is something like, I don't buy the hair oil, that's $50. I don't buy all this stupid coffee stuff, that's another $50. Those two things alone is like $100. You know, like I don't buy that face palette, it's another $50. Like, you see where I'm going with this? This is just stuff that accumulates. And again, this is like all stuff that just doesn't make sense to buy. Spending $200, $300, $400 on stuff that you're actually going to use and like is one thing. Buying it on stuff that you don't use, going to sit around, you don't like, going to expire, You don't want, like, it doesn't make sense. Anyways, that's the video. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I want to hear the stuff that you're not going to buy 2024 or just like period any longer. I feel like a lot of this stuff needs to be, I won't buy this thing anymore, or unless this condition is met. I would love it if you would subscribe to catch more content like this and more of Vlogmas. And I hope to see you again around here soon. Bye.